why I don't like Tinder. Like, as soon as I've turned 18, I have no real motivation to actually download these dating apps because I don't see it, which is my first point, as a prioritization. I'm going to go across 3 points, I think 3 or 4. It's not priority. Now, I know a couple of my mates, they're on Tinder. Some of them do it for fun. I see it the equivalent of, I'm just doing it for fun, but if I get something, like, it's sort of like, how do I put this? Like, if you like, how, best one is like, if you're scrolling on Twitter or Reddit, like, and you're trying to stop, like, watching pornography, like, oh, I'm just going to be on Twitter so I can catch up, or I'll be on Reddit, I'll scroll on Reddit just so I can catch up, and then actually you're secretly, like, looking for something else, you're looking for all that haram. But as a matter of priority, as a young man, as a young 18-year-old man, my priority is not in my dating life. I have said this with my mates, like my close mates. If the opportunity arises, of course I might take it. But I'm not actively looking for an opportunity. Because it's just not really a good use of your time, like in terms of tangible rewards, like the amount of time it takes to message, to court, to go on a date, to spend the money on food. Like, this isn't me saying like a cheapskate, this is me saying the amount of time and energy, which is important as a young man, is energy, you're putting it towards something that isn't yourself or isn't building yourself. And I see it dating now. It should be more of a means for marriage. Like, I think I've sort of set the boundary of, if I don't see someone like as wife material, or I see as a long-term relationship, like where we have children or all that, there's no point in dating. It's just a waste of time. It's just, I'm wasting their time, I'm wasting my time, because if I'm going to date, I'm going to date someone where I can see a future together, rather than out of convenience, where most dating happens to be. Another second point, going on to energy, it sort of is sad. Like, I'm not, you know what, personally, it's not for me, online dating, because I don't want to be caught using these online dating apps from other people. So when the boys, when they show me people that we knew from high school, people that we know are on Tinder, my heart drops, because I go, imagine if I was the guy. Imagine if I was the guy that the chicks were showing to their other friends. Like, oh, he's on Tinder, like, blah, 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 like, he's on a dating app. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be caught using a dating app. Like, I'm just thinking of, like, my future wife. I don't want her knowing that I was on these apps to begin with. Because it's showing how, I want to say desperate, but, like, we're all wanting to have a connection. Like, that's just a matter of fact as being a human being. We want a relationship. We want to have love. We want to feel loved. And now we have these apps that sort of makes it easier to feel love, to feel validation, rather than having to work for it. Because back in the old days, you would have to actually walk up to a woman and actually start a conversation and actually court her. But now we can just do it over the phone. It's sort of like cowardice, and that's why I don't like using it, because I want to exercise my bravery and my confidence rather than leaving it up to an app. Which leads to my third point about apps. It sort of commoditizes. I say this from the perspective of sales. Learning sales and having done sales, dating is no different from selling. You're essentially selling a product, which is yourself, or the idea of a relationship, or you are the product. You're selling yourself. You can do this by marketing yourself, which is basically being on these apps. Different methods like outbound marketing, direct marketing, like actually going meeting in person, like cold DMs, like going the DMs. And it's a numbers games, because the only way to improve the numbers, your rate, is actually the quality of your product. Like from a selling perspective, people will not buy from you if you're untrustworthy, if they don't believe in your company or actually don't believe in the product. And in terms of dating, the easiest way is just improving the product, which is yourself, which is I don't like going into like the red pill, like wording like your sexual market value. Like it is a market, but in terms of like economics and all that, it just feels like you're commoditizing yourself. And it just, which is kind of hypocritical because I am commoditizing myself right now as I'm building this personal brand with all these YouTube videos. But for me, like I'm trying to like think of it right now in terms of romance, because it's sort of like the culture now, like with casual sex and like casual relationships, it doesn't feel like there's any commitment, there's any loyalty. Like loyalty isn't valued. Like pleasure and sexual gratification is put above actually having a meaningful relationship. That's where the objectification actually comes from. I believe, like if you see someone purely for your own pleasure rather than seeing them as a human being with like their own motives, desires, fears, purpose, personality, like if you disregard all of that, you actually see them as an object of just pleasure for your own self, which is quite selfish. And people are willing to do this and they think it's okay. I just think it's because they're unconscious of the fact that there's more to a relationship than pleasure. Like like most people, like this is gonna sound derogatory, they're willing to be ran through. And for myself, having now gone past like the red pill and all that, like I want to see more value if I do enter a relationship than just sexual gratification, because I want someone who can help support me, who I can talk to, who I can just be myself with, who can help me in my improvement. Like there's more than just busting your load essentially. But that's why I just don't use dating apps, because the downsides, it's also feeding into the this is my fourth bonus point, like attention deficit, like of social media. You're seeing everything has to be instant. Like I believe the reason why dating apps are so popular, it removes the pain of rejection, which is a necessary pain when having to create something meaningful. It's the same in sales. We get rejected all the time. But once you feel your first rejection, your second, your third, your fifth, your 100th, your 200th, your 1,000th, it's like water on a duck's back. It doesn't feel as hard as the first time as being rejected, but because people like being easy, being instant, instead of having to actually approach, you can just swipe. It just makes things a lot easier. And I just don't think, if something's easy, there's not much value in it. If it's not easy, I believe the reason why six-pack abs are valuable, why creating a business is valuable, why technology is valuable, why services are valuable. They're all valuable because it's hard to create. It's hard. But just a swipe. Swipe away. Swipe away is so easy that I just don't see there's any value, or I could get more value if I just reject it. So this is sort of like my rant on why I don't use dating apps currently, right now, as an 18-year-old. I don't know, maybe I'll change my opinion, but I'll see. But I don't think I'll change my opinion anytime soon. Because I'm more of like the cold approaching, like even the cold approaching, I still think it's like a waste of time, because unless you see someone, like unless you're in the position where, yes, I can now fully support a family, I can have a wife, I can just support a family. Like I'm not in the position to do that. So why is it a priority? I should prioritize being able to be in the position before committing myself to a family, to a wife. It's So that's my thoughts on why I think I choose not to have dating apps. So I hope it's sort of like articulate. There's a better way to articulate this. I know, like if I write this down, this is just me going off my own thoughts and just improving my ability to speak from just simple notes and dot points. But I hope this helps.